Really pleased with our guys' effort. They were really locked in and focused for practices, for shoot around today. I think the underclassmen, juniors and lower, wanted to, help the seniors go out with a win. And our seniors are really locked in, I think, knowing what's at stake, in the seedings in the conference tournament.
It seems like you guys made a pretty big effort to get out and run a little bit today. You got some easy offense from that. Was that kind of with purpose, or did that kind of just happen?
Kind of just happened. We talk. Obviously we want to get out. We want to get out in transition. I think it helped. There were some long rebounds. We did get some steals. Which when you can get live ball turnovers, it helps you get out faster. So I think those were some key things that helped us. But also I thought our pace was good. I thought Dusty and Caleb really running the wings helped space the floor, and we got some shots in transition, and our guards also got to the rim some.
Yeah, that Fresno big's really good. Can you talk about FA's work on him? And then on defense, it seemed like they were trying to run everything through him, and guys were rubbing off. It seemed like you guys adjusted to that the first.
Yeah, our guards. It's hard work. Chasing over and doing it multiple times, and it's the way we play defense isn't easy for guys if you're not physical and you don't want to work hard. And so I thought our guards did a great job, getting through screens, getting over screens, especially how many they were setting, like you just said, with their center. And then I thought our bigs did a really good job being a second line of defense. And when the guards did get by, they didn't leave their feet. They stayed down and jumped at the right time.
Brian Moore Jr. feels like we've talked about in the last few games. It just seems like, again, he's so comfortable out there. It seems like he's kind of made for this.
That was probably his best all-around game of the year. I thought he made great decisions on when to attack the rim and when to pass. And I think you look at our 23 assists. A lot started with him just moving the ball to start. And he didn't force shots, he didn't force passes, but he really got our offense, moving the ball.
Getting the 4 seed in the conference tournament. Some guys I feel like the bye, other ones don't. What are your kind of thoughts on it?
Definitely like the bye. There's so many good teams in this league, and games are physical. I think every game less you have to play, gives you a better percent chance, to win. And so we're definitely happy with the bye.
And you've played every team in this conference close throughout the entire season. Does that give you a sense of confidence going into next week?
This field is, as deep as any conference or any conference has ever been. Again, I think there's so many teams, that could win any matchup or win the championship. And so, there's a lot of good teams. Like we have 8 top 100 net teams in the league. There's just a lot of good teams, a lot of good players, that'll be in Vegas.
And I talked to the players about this too. Maybe the players themselves don't have a ton of postseason experience, but the coaching staff has a ton of postseason success in the past couple of years. Does that help going into this kind of tournament, even though it's a new conference?
Yeah, well, you never know until it's done. But we definitely have things set in place, for recovery, for how we want to prepare, how we want to practice, how we want to prep for games and things. And so we're definitely comfortable with the process. Obviously, the hard part is winning the games. The players have to do the hard part. So, Lord willing, we'll be healthy and stay healthy and be able to be at our best, in our first round game.
How do you grade Caleb's shot? Came back today. How do you kind of look at how he played today?
Yeah, he's only. The last Fresno game, obviously he played 5-on-5. He played one day, a couple days ago, 5-on-5, just a few possessions, and that's it until tonight's game. And so, I thought he did a really good job, like making his first shot, moving the ball. I think he had 4 assists for not really being out in game action. And I thought that the team was really good with him too. They helped him feel really welcome from the very beginning. And the minutes that he can play, are important because he stretches the floor with his shooting. But then also it helps Jaden, Mackay, Brian, get a little bit of rest so they're not playing 35 to 38 minutes. That they can be more fresh throughout the game.
And for him with this specific injury, is it more like rest recovery than getting in game shape, or what? Like, was it a tissue or what?
Yeah, it was an ankle, and so he was non-weight bearing for a while, and so it's like I said, he's moving way better than I ever thought he would, being non-weight bearing for as long as he was, I didn't think if you asked me a month ago if he'd be playing this game how he did, I wouldn't think that was probably going to happen. So this definitely, helps us and helps us go in the conference tournament.
You got a few guys that are kind of in the mix for different awards. I'm curious if you could, not necessarily make a case, but just talk about them. Jaden, Makai, maybe Nana on the defensive side. Just talk about the season that they've had and kind of advocate for them.
Yeah. No, I think Jaden is such a great talent. He's played so well. I would take him as the top player in the league, but I'm coaching him, so I'm biased, obviously. But what I've enjoyed about Jaden, he's just gotten better and better throughout the year. If you go back to some of his earlier games to how he is now, he's more polished. He's making better decisions. He's making team plays. His growth has just been so fun to see and be part of. I think Makai, had an all-conference type year. The way he scored the basketball for us, and Nana defensively and rebounding. He's elite at that, and so I'd love to see him, all league or definitely all defensive team, for what he's done for us. Anything else? Thank you guys. Appreciate it.